while we're getting started here and waiting for people to come in, I'm going to go ahead and launch our first poll question. Hopefully you can see on the screen. You guys can go ahead and let us know where you're at on your journey to integrate ServiceNow with Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams. Give us a good idea of where we're starting from today. And again, thanks again for joining. We'll be on. We'll get started here momentarily. All right, we're a couple minutes in. We've got some good responses back here. Just to let everybody know where we're at. There we go. So checking the results, we've got a lot of people that seem to have the first time they're hearing about the integration joining, which is wonderful. Thank you for being with us. And a lot still gathering information, handful testing, and a couple in production. So you guys are in the right place. We're gonna hopefully you're gonna leave today's session with a lot more knowledge and understanding about how to work with the integration than you had when you came in. So let's dial down the music. Thanks to Earth, Wind, and Fire here. Okay. All right, here we go. Before we get going, I'm going to flash the safe harbor statement. This well of words, as you may be well aware, represents the fact that anything you hear about today around functionality that's not generally available indicates a plan and not a promise. So please don't make any purchase decisions on anything that's not currently generally available. And in terms of housekeeping, we've saved some time to do Q&A. There's a Q&A for the end of the session. There is a Q&A button on the Zoom link, so please leverage it to ask any questions. We've got a wonderful panel of esteemed colleagues to help respond to them today. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions. This session is going to be recorded and posted on the ServiceNow community. I don't actually have the link where it'll be posted right now, but we'll make sure that it is sent out to everybody who was invited to the session, so you'll be able to leverage it. And I think it would also be available on the on-demand section of the Live on ServiceNow events page. And after the event, there will be a survey that's going to come out. Please let us know your thoughts on the survey content and our presentation. I always like to hear where we can do things better and make these sessions more valuable for you. All right. Your presenters for today, I'm the guy on the left, and I've been talking, so I'll keep going. My name is Jeff Fox. I'm a product manager here at ServiceNow, coming up on 2 years in October. So, just under 2 years, and been focused on the ServiceNow and Microsoft integration for my entire time here. I really love talking to customers about it and doing all I can to make it easy for people to turn on the integration and get more value out of their investment between ServiceNow and from Microsoft. So that's me. I'm going to ask our presenters to go on. Adam, do you mind to do a quick intro, please?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name's Adam Mogel. I'm an engineering manager here. My team handles the conversational integration with Microsoft Teams. So that's basically the integration between ServiceNow Virtual Agent and Microsoft Teams. Been with the company for, in coming January, it will be a decade, but with this team for the last year and some change. Thank you, everyone.
Harsh?
Yeah, so myself, Harsh Dubey. I work for I look after ServiceNow Microsoft Teams integration related to mostly on Employee Center integration and Outlook actionable messages, ServiceNow add-ins, and Viva integration. So that's me.
Thanks, Harsh. And Rohit.
Yeah, hello everyone. I am Rohit Dev, senior software QA engineer working with ServiceNow from last 1.5 years, primarily working with employee experience and multiple integrations with different channels, collaboration channels mostly. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Rohit, thanks. Folks in the audience, I'm really just giddy to have such an esteemed panel today. So any questions you have around the integration, I think we can do a good job of responding to with this crew. So please let questions fly while we're going. Today's session is a part of the Live on ServiceNow webinar series. It's designed to connect you with ServiceNow experts and peers that can help you deploy your products and achieve value faster. We hope that you'll join us again at another webinar or meetup. You can see the schedule by scanning the QR code posted here. And I don't know that I'll have the actual link to put into the chat, but we'll make sure that we follow up for folks who were invited. One thing and so maybe I should give that another moment. Please do take a quick picture if you're interested in seeing more. But as a segue here, and this will be in the deck that's posted, we've got a mini events that are scheduled here just between the balance of September and into October that will be useful for folks who are trying to leverage the integration. Some of them are around virtual agent, some of them are around employee experience, and others are run by this team that are doing the ServiceNow and Teams integration, Microsoft 365 integration, that is. We've also got some content around our generative AI offering that should be of interest as well. So please do check out the community page with the Live on ServiceNow events and sign up for some more. Have another poll question here. Let me get to run it. Sorry, I'm running the whole show here today and just need to make sure I can run this poll. Here we go. Launching the second question here. All right, so you should see it now. As you may know, the ServiceNow with Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams integration keys on a couple ServiceNow capabilities. Please let us know what use cases you're most interested in using between ServiceNow and Microsoft 365. Give you guys a moment. And it may be, I hope that the chat allows, that the question allows for multiple choice answers, but I'm not sure that it does. So please do let us know in the chat if you want to do multiple, have multiple uses. Chat's quiet so far. Yeah, sorry. Okay, here to learn options. All right, cool. All right, well, we've got a lot of participation here, and let's just take a quick peek at the results. It's pretty well balanced. We've got, I think, just over a third looking to look at the virtual agent integration, a quarter on Employee Center, and almost 30% on request-based chats and calls. So that's fantastic, and we're going to get into a lot of this today. This is fantastic. Okay. And I believe that's all we have for polls right now until you get the survey after the event. So let's continue here. And let's start by understanding why we have this integration between ServiceNow and Microsoft. Right, it's a key question. And the answer is, after we at ServiceNow talked with many customers about their modern work situation, supporting employees and agents and service providers internally, one common theme has really popped up, and that's that organizations are pressed to provide both a better experience and drive efficiency. Most all of these customers consider this a mission-critical objective. And it's mission critical because the proliferation of applications that is present today has created a common challenge, which is to manage these multiple experiences. Employees and agents today have to wrestle with multiple experiences between email, chat, portals, and other applications. And doing so creates stress because our employees are constantly toggling between applications for information or due to notifications, etc. It's stressful and it's inefficient. Navigating to all these different places for information is just not a good use of employees' time. And the experiences themselves are not perfect. Sometimes information just gets missed altogether. I don't know about you guys. I know that happens to me periodically. And let's look at a little bit more research about these problems and some of the implications, right? According to our friends at McKinsey, they estimate 20% of employee time is lost searching for information to complete a task or a workflow. HBR reports 9% of time is lost trying to reorient to a task after you visit a new application. So, right, when you go from, say, Teams to a different portal, 9% of time can be lost trying to just, get your bearings. And then finally, Gartner reports that 43% of employees miss important information because they have too many applications open. Does that happen to you? Employees and agents shouldn't have to struggle, and now they no longer have to. This is where the integration between ServiceNow and Microsoft comes in, because it improves efficiency by seamlessly weaving ServiceNow and Microsoft experiences together into natural workspaces. And with this seamless experience, you get happier employees. It doesn't feel just like ServiceNow or Microsoft Teams. It's a more singular experience for both agents and employees. It increases productivity because the integration between Teams and ServiceNow brings notifications, information, and actions into a single place. And finally, it optimizes collaboration. Good things just happen when you take world-class collaboration software and weave it directly into a world-class workflow software. So let's go a little bit deeper to see how our different stakeholders can benefit from the integration. And start with the CIO. They want to make sure that they're maximizing strategic investments that they've made around efficiency, collaboration, and experience. Clearly, their investment in Microsoft and in ServiceNow represents some pretty big platforms. The service owner wants to be able to alert employees to outages and quickly bring experts onto a Teams bridge for streamlined collaboration to close issues faster. Agents want to reach employees and experts in Teams directly from the ServiceNow interface. And employees don't want to leave their natural workspace when it comes to requesting a service, finding answers, or providing information to an agent. This can all be done now within Microsoft Teams. So at a high level, let's talk about how we drive efficiency through this experience. There's 5 app experiences that really show off the integration for employees and agents. First off, we have Employee Center, where employees can go to request service, review tasks, or search knowledge base articles directly within Teams. And this really shortchanges the description for Employee Center, right? I mean, it is a fully fledged intranet that provides targeted communications experiences and can really facilitate better interactions and more efficiency with your employee base. Next, we have Virtual Agent, where employees can self-serve and use automated workflows, access KB articles, and they can do it all within Microsoft Teams. Our Service Operations Workspace helps agents further reduce mean time to resolution by invoking Teams notifications, having conversations, and initiating conferences directly from ServiceNow. Major Incident Management helps service owners get services up again faster by automating Teams calls from ServiceNow. And finally, we have Agent to Employee Chat that helps agents to reach out to employees and other experts directly inside of Teams from ServiceNow. So this is it at a high level. Let's get into, how do you enable ServiceNow in Teams? I'm going to step through this kind of at a high level, but it's really a 3-step process. We need to get the 2 platforms integrated. We need to download a manifest and then upload the manifest into Teams. We need some permissions to make this happen between the 2 platforms, as well as a plugin. So this Microsoft Integrations Core plugin is really embedded within a couple of different applications you'll get from ServiceNow. So you may not actually see this one unless you dig into some of the dependent plugins, but this is at the core. From a Microsoft perspective, we'll need to have either a global admin or a user that's got both Teams admin and application administrator roles. And then on the ServiceNow side, you'll either need to be an admin or specifically have the external app install admin role for that user. And with that, before we go any further, guys on the panel, I'm wondering if we have any questions you guys may want to speak to before I actually get into the demo.
No, we are good.
Someone has their hand raised.
Oh, okay. Bear with me for a sec. All right, guys, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to try to bring you guys off of mute. So, Ronald, what's on your mind? May need to come off mute there, bud.
Had to get off mute. Okay. Uh, on the previous slide, is that integration a one-to-one or a one-to-many? Meaning, today, my company is a service provider, and we actually use ServiceNow with multiple companies under an integrated instance. If we build this integration to our teams, do we have to do it to each company's teams, or one team and it then uses the federation that's built within Microsoft? I'm just trying to understand how many different connections I would potentially have to build. Do you understand my question?
Yeah, the question's clear. Adam, is this something you might speak to?
From a virtual agent perspective, you would need to set it up for each individual tenant that you're trying to connect to. So
even though our ServiceNow may have multiple domains, multiple companies, if each of those companies has a different Microsoft tenant, we would have to build a connection to each tenant.
Correct. From a virtual agent perspective, I don't know if there's anything additional or any additional insight from the Employee Center tab. Harsh, do you have anything?
No, actually, I have a question. Like when you were saying like you have different companies and different tenant for each company. So for one user, you guys having different emails also, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So you need to have a different integration for each tenant.
Okay. So go back another slide, please. I think it's maybe one or two, where you had the different types of capabilities. Yeah, that one. So right now we're only interested in the bottom three. So virtual agents really, and the Employee Center is out of scope in the initial phase. Really, it's about integrating in the incidents chat and the service request and the ability for our level 2 and level 1 teams to be able to communicate from ServiceNow back to the end users.
Right.
And in fact, as I said, these end users would be in different Microsoft tenants. So I'd have to do an integration to every Microsoft tenant that we wanted to do that with.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Sorry, go ahead.
Because you need to be authorized for every tenant, for every Microsoft tenant. So you need a separate integration for each tenant.
Okay. Even though our master tenant on the Microsoft side has federation, and if I'm just using Teams, I can chat to all of them already. So there's no way to build the integration, or is there a way to build the integration so it comes in through one tenant and then uses the federation on the Microsoft side to connect to the others?
So you are saying something called subdomain, like having one domain, and inside that you have multiple subdomains?
They're not subdomains. So within my Teams environment today, I can chat to, John at abc.com. I can talk to John at bya.com, which are those ABC and BYA are different Microsoft tenants, but I've got them federated using Microsoft Federation on the team side so that I can do that from one tenant. I'm just wondering if ServiceNow can leverage that so I don't have to do the integrations to those other two tenants.
So, go ahead, Rohit.
Yeah, so you mean you have added those users as a guest in your primary tenant, right?
In some cases, they're a guest. In some cases, we're using pure federation that Microsoft has come out with. But in most cases, think the B2B model, yes.
Yes, so yeah, we do have support for guest users, at least for chat feature. Employee Center, we can confirm once, but yes, we can connect to a tenant as a guest, to the user as a guest who are connected as a guest in your Microsoft Teams primary tenant.
Okay, Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
But we just
Ronald,
need to mention those tenants in some property file, which you can find in documentation as well. But connection is not required, but we need to mention which all guest tenants or guest user tenants are we supporting.
hope
Okay, so
that
we
helps.
build it to the primary tenant and then use the guest capabilities within that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hope that helps. Great question. I think that's a common use case, and we do have capabilities to accommodate it. But I appreciate all the detail that we got into there. So, guys, any other questions we see here before we move on? Commercial cloud and government cloud implementations, can we integrate with both depending on user attribute? I actually haven't seen that before. I know that the integration does work with the government cloud as well as commercial, but I am not certain if there's any issue with doing the integration between those two different types of instances. Typically, what I've seen is all commercial, and those can definitely be done together. So, Jonathan, I'm going to take that and look to get a question, look to get this answered in, post it to the page for this session. So thanks, and I'm just marking it down here. Unless anyone on the panel has a more definitive answer. Okay. Okay. Very good. And then I saw Harshit, you had a question around anonymized chat. The agent name shouldn't appear on the chat. Is there documentation link to refer to this topic? Adam, is that something you could take and perhaps respond to?
Yeah, there's some setting. I'll try to find the docs right now.
All right, great. And then there was another question around some of the licensing. And just to speak to that again, the integration with Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams is no charge for a customer who already has the ITSM or HRSD subscription. So there's no additional charge to use the plugin. However, we have implemented some integration hub changes. And if the transactions exceed your number of transactions you have licensed, then you may need to upgrade your integration hub or App Engine Studio subscription with ServiceNow. Similarly, Microsoft may have API charges for transactions to the Teams Graph API, which is we have some documentation on that, but could turn into there's a fraction of a cent charge for each transaction, depending on the size of an organization. That could add up. Okay, and let's see, many questions in here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get back into the demo, and hopefully we can get the panel to respond to some of the Q&A. Okay, thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. So let me see. Stop. All right, so here we have not exactly the screen I meant to share, nor is this. Okay, so guys, where I wanted to start with our demo was validating that we indeed have the ServiceNow and Microsoft integration plugins. 4 of them individually: HR Service Delivery for Microsoft 365, ITSM, and then we have meeting extensions for Teams and Notify Connector. These are all bundled. So what I've done here, and these are all installed in this instance, what I've done is just gone to system applications and search ServiceNow for Microsoft, and here's where you could actually get them. Once that's done and these are on board, I'm going to go to ServiceNow from Microsoft and click on Install Azure Apps. Here we have a pretty much of a blank slate. We've installed the plugin. I'm going to go ahead and click on Install here, and I'm going to pick my application admin permission. And I saw that there was a question in the chat. We've got a link in the deck here to, oh man, that is a real bummer. Thought I had this set to go. Let me just pause real quick and pull up a different instance. Please bear with me. as the demo gods have struck. And while I'm addressing this, guys on the panel, I don't know if there's questions you can perhaps speak to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, is there questions? Guys, if you could please maybe read out a question and talk about an answer.
Trying to find the question about the agent name.
I see there are a few questions about non-actionable messages. So mostly non-actionable messages are like you get notifications. For example, you have read some incidents and there is some comment added on the incident or some action taken on the incident. So you will get just a notification that this action is performed, but you cannot take any action on that notification. For example, you cannot add any reply on that notification, or you cannot have any action like approve or reject the request. So those are non-actionable messages, and actionable are the reverse, where you can reply to the incident comment, or you can approve or reject or send back your requests, etc. So these are different from the chats. Chat import and everything will work as it is as per the plugins and everything whichever you are using.
Thank you so much. Okay, and maybe ready to go, but we've got a couple, looks like multiple people with their hands raised. Let me go ahead and get Jan to ask her their question. Jan, did you still have a question? You're on mute, I see.
I didn't have a question, I'm sorry. Or did I?
All good, all good. Okay, let's see here, and Ganesh.
Can you hear me?
I think we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. So we are using Microsoft Teams for having this chat functionality, but we are not enabled virtual agent. So, but we use actionable notifications. Is there any way where we can stop using the free text type where we can send something and so what happens today, right? We have a custom script to say if whatever they respond saying that we are currently working on that. Instead of that, can we remove the text option and only keep the actionable notifications in the Teams?
Can you elaborate on which actionable notifications you're using? Because VA has its own actionable notifications.
Yeah,
And
we are using that. That's right. So under ServiceNow for Teams, right? So usually any Teams message where we have option to type something and hit send button.
mm-hmm.
We don't want that functionality because it is just going to be used for an actionable notification. We don't have any response for that.
Oh, okay. So what you're requesting, excuse me, is a virtual agent's configuration in which the users don't actually ever type anything. They only receive notifications.
Yeah. We
Um,
don't want virtual agent to be running, but just want actionable notifications.
okay.
Right. So
Yeah,
if
well,
we type something today, right, it is coming like, okay, we'll get back to you, but it is sometimes gives an irrelevant response. So instead of that, can we remove that typing option so we can just see whatever the push comes from ServiceNow, we can just respond for approving or adding the comment.
Mhm. Yeah, so unfortunately, the integration with Microsoft Teams, the bot framework, doesn't allow us to disable the message box.
Okay.
But we can do some. We actually did this like I think like 2 months ago. We can configure your virtual agent to not like actually respond to anything. So even if they type something, they we'll just catch it and just not respond. So
Okay.
yeah, that is possible, and I forget the exact exact configuration that allows for that, but we were
That's fine. So
successfully
I can,
able
yeah,
to,
I can
yeah.
share you my email ID if you can get back right on that.
Okay.
That will be helpful.
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna resume the demo here. Hopefully we've got things worked out. Guess I've got too many instances and not enough tenants, something like that. Okay, so I've gone through and I have clicked the install button and I've got the authorization button for each of these individual components. So I'm just going to go through. This is what you will see when you go to do the authorization yourself. You'll see all the permissions that come up and in order to deliver the service, I'm going to skip on the Viva Connections one for this go around. That'll be good for another topic. But we'll go through and we'll accept here for request-based chats. And same will go for SSO and activities. Right. So we'll accept this. And with this done, the integration is now set for these three apps that have the check mark. And you can do this again in your own instance in a development scenario and test it out yourself. So let's see here. One other thing I wanted to start to look at well, let's go through the manifest process first, right? So the connection is done. Next thing we would look at here in ServiceNow for Microsoft 365 is under application manifest. We go to ServiceNow for Teams. And from here, we'll just click on new. This is technically set up for my integration already, but it'll take through a process where you can customize your the application that'll go into Teams. So you can provide your own name. If you wanted to change it to Harvey or John or Mickey Mouse, you can modify that. We have a couple of options as well as a more lengthy description that folks will see within the app. From there, you can go in and configure your virtual agent to have a single tenant or multi-tenant setup. And I'm just going to walk through this here. I don't think it's going to make too big a difference. So this is done, and then we're just going to kind of click next and go through here. We've got the single tenant setup, and you can configure your virtual agent here as well. This would just be connecting it to your existing virtual agent. So we've had a lot of advanced questions in today's call, which is really great. Sounds like a lot of people have VA set up, but this is obviously if it's not in good shape and useful for your employee base, then you may not get a lot of value out of integrating it. And the same would go with Employee Center. Here, one of the things we typically do, this is still defaults to your hub. We would within ServiceNow, we would just call this Employee Center. But we've got our tabs and our activity feed enabled here as well. And once this is done, I would click next, and then here's where you get to download the manifest. So if you were going to do this, you would technically download it and it would be on board your machine. I'm now going to go to admin.microsoft.com. Sorry, I got a little confusion here between my instances, so I'm over to a different profile again. Sorry, so this isn't where you would upload the manifest, but what I will show you while we're here, this is where the tenant setup would be. I went in and did a tenant setup, and I do want to show you the users, right? You would need to, in your instance, have your users on your Azure tenant match what you have in your ServiceNow tenant so that those two accounts could be connected. Here, this is all I have right now in my tenant. I'm just showing this to go back, be able to go back and look at users in look at all these users, and I'm just going to do a quick filter here on email. And here we've got multiple users that are listed under this. This isn't the same one. Sorry again, guys. I'm working between, I believe, two instances, so I apologize for the contention. I am going to go back now to It's the application manifest. So we're here. And then to upload the manifest, which is where we were at, I'm going to go to admin.teams.microsoft.com, log in to the proper tenant. And again, this is where we're going to go in. This is your whole Teams admin center. In order to upload the manifest, we're going to go under Teams apps to manage apps. All right, if you're going to upload for the first time, you would just click upload a new app. I've already done that, so I'm just going to search for it. And here it is. All right, so if you wanted to say you had an update or a change to your application that you wanted to post into Teams, you would upload the new file. So if I had a new manifest to upload, I could click here and actually do it. Another good practice we talk about is leveraging setup policies. If you're going to put it out, make the application available in Teams to multiple users, to your entire organization, you would leverage global. If you wanted to use a different policy to target a subset, you would just need to create that policy and make it available there. If it hadn't already been installed for all users in this policy, I would click add apps, but as you can see, it's already here. Another good practice we advocate is pinning the app. This is pretty straightforward. You would add it, but as you can see, it's already done. Second from the top. And then every user who's on this policy would see the application posted there. So I'm going to roll the dice here again and teams.microsoft.com, back to another profile. All right. And yeah, shoot, I was afraid I had messed this up. So I may have somehow triggered myself an issue getting ready for today's session. Possibly. Okay, looks like it's working here. So this is Virtual Agent. You can see I've been playing with it a little bit. There's, I don't know if you guys can see, it's a little bit covered up by the Zoom bar on my side, but we have Virtual Agent and we have Employee Center in this other tab. And so anything that your organization has created in its Employee Center would be shared here. And again, I'm sorry, I think I might have somehow broken it in my prep work. Oh, maybe it's loading. All right, wonderful. I'm just going to do a little nod to the gods and say thanks for that. So your Employee Center, this is going to look a lot like, as you may know, what you see in your Employee Center that you would have in your portal. And one other thing that has we came out with in the August release is the availability of Employee Center now within the Outlook 360 or Microsoft 365 application. It's already been integrated here, so you can see ServiceNow for Microsoft 365, the exact same app. So if you've got users who prefer to use this Microsoft 365 setup to access all of their different Office applications within in a web platform, then they can just, whenever they need to access service, they can go and access Employee Center right here. Same goes in Outlook. Looks like I'd already kind of queued it up, but it's right here. So within Outlook, this is on web or desktop client. You'll be able to go ahead and access Employee Center within this application. Should also mention, if you have a different portal, you can go ahead and set up a custom portal instead of Employee Center to show up in Teams. So there's a lot of flexibility here to leverage the integration. I think we got through what I wanted to show in the demo in terms of driving the integration itself. And you know what? I got so excited. I think I perhaps there we go. I might have actually skipped a bunch of slides. So within the deck, rather than going through the recording, I've got many of the steps that we went through here, looking at all the permissions and what the final state should look like for each of these steps. So we went through doing the platform connection. We're going through the manifest file generation. And again, if you need to show people or want to refer back to some of these high level activities, this is what the manifest upload process would look like. We went through all of this during the live demo, and this is what you should see when it's actually live. Okay. In terms of best practices, one of the things I just want to take a couple minutes to go through this. We talk about how important it is to communicate. We've got these big platforms that have a lot of security, a lot of architecture behind them. It's important that you communicate with the applicable teams. You might be the ServiceNow admin, but you really need to get your Microsoft owner or Teams admin involved in the process, as well as anybody in security, networking, etc., that might need to participate. Getting that alignment put together and following up this is a bit of a project to integrate these two platforms is really crucial. And how do you do that, right? We talk about driving the discussion. This is just a sample message that you can leverage to communicate with these different stakeholders and drive this project to completion. And I just have a couple more slides to go through, and then we'll settle in on Q&A. In terms of getting Employee Center to show up within Outlook and the Microsoft 365 app, it is pretty straightforward once you upload the manifest. There's this new technology within the Microsoft 365 application that makes these Teams apps show up across M365 and Outlook. So it's relatively automated. But if you don't happen to see it, here's two things to do to support it. First is this app launcher icon that's up on the left side here that I don't know if we clicked it in the demo. It shows up, it goes to this one particular URL. If it doesn't work for you, then there's this alternative URL that typically will show up, make all the M365 apps that have been installed show up in the M365 application. And then because this M365 update may not be generally available across your entire organization, there may be a preference to go ahead and set in your admin.microsoft.com settings in your Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And this basically takes you through that. Couple of steps to go into settings, org settings, over to the org profile tab, go into release preferences, and provide the targeted release for everyone. This should typically allow Employee Center or the custom portal to show up across these different applications. Keep in mind it may take a couple minutes. And finally, here's some helpful resources that contains a lot of what we did that's already posted in the ServiceNow for Microsoft community on ServiceNow. Okay, I'm going to take a breath there. Guys on the panel, is there any questions you want to talk about? I think I'm seeing a couple more hands raised. So, oh.
Yeah, there was a question regarding demo for chat. I think we don't have it today, right? Chat or feed from an incident.
Can you say that one more time, please?
The demo for initiating chat from an incident.
Oh, we want to see that now?
Yeah, Ronald is asking about it if we have now.
Let me see. I know I've got it set up on one instance that I didn't show. I'm gonna roll the dice here live while we're doing this. Please go ahead and continue to speak to it. Again, I am not sure if I've set this up on this particular instance, but we'll give it a try. Any other questions while we're getting, I gotta dig up an incident and so it'll take just a moment. The deck will be shared in the page for this event. So we will post the deck.
I have a few VA questions that I think the larger group might be interested in. One is about account linking. So I believe by default, at least for the last few releases, the automatic account linking should be enabled, and that's on the virtual agent configuration page. So what happens is the first time the user interacts with the bot or the bot is installed to the user, the app that contains the bot is installed to the user, we receive a request from Microsoft about that event. And if the email in that event matches a user email in the ServiceNow platform, then we'll do the linking. That's obviously that the automatic linking checkbox is checked. Some cases where this doesn't happen as expected is in which a user has multiple records with the same email that can cause some issues sometimes. But so if we don't find that match, then we'll give the option to, continue as guest or link to ServiceNow. When you click link to ServiceNow, it should redirect you to a ServiceNow page. And if you're logged in, it will link you to that user or will ask you to log in and link to that user. So that's on account linking. Sounds like there was some error, and I don't, from the question, I don't think I can answer it here. So, but please reach out to support, and then we'll try to get you squared away.
Adam, thank you. By the way, folks, I'm working on getting this request-based chat demo going. Give me just a couple minutes, or just another minute. Any other questions to speak to?
There was another question about multiple virtual agents. So you can configure what is a virtual agent chat experience. So you can configure some conditions that decide which chat experience can be used for any given conversation. So yeah, part of those chat experiences can be the configured setup topics. So like greetings, live agent, search fallback, etc. Those can all be configured differently for different chat experiences.
There is one question from David. Do I still install the ServiceNow for Microsoft plugin if only need the ability to start the Teams call? So if I understand it correctly, he's asking about Microsoft Integration Core plugin. So again, it is kind of a core plugin for different plugins. Like you must be aware of Notify connector with Teams. So internally, it will install Microsoft Integration Core automatically. So you need not to install it separately. If you rely on Notify plugin for your Teams call features, that should be enough. Or if I got it wrong, please post another question.
So there is another question from Jonathan on the on the government cloud and the commercial cloud. So I'm a bit confused on that. Like generally, I have seen like the GCC environment are separate from the commercial. So in your case, it's both are on the same instance.
Jeff, can we unmute Jonathan Webb, please?
You bet. Bear with me. Coming right up. Okay, Jonathan. Okay, doesn't have his hand up, right? But we want to unmute. I don't see a Jonathan.
I have done that, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do have by single instance, if you meet our ServiceNow instance, yes, we are in FedRAMP High. And so we have everybody we actually have a couple of different instances for lots of different purposes, right? But our primary production instance, we would need to talk to both Teams Gov Cloud and Teams Commercial Cloud. So I saw in there, as you're going through the demo, there's the option to kind of, what do we do next if it's multi-tenant, right? So I'm assuming that's multi-tenant as M365 multi-tenant, and then does it get into different configurations, such as, if this user attribute's met, use this tenant or this tenant kind of thing.
So, Jonathan, one thing is there is for GCC, like government cloud, you can only do it through self-configured apps, not through multi-tenant. So, you have to follow a single tenant approach, or you can select self-configured apps for the GCC cloud.
Yeah, so
So, yeah,
you're
you still can go ahead and use the same ServiceNow instance with connect to multiple tenants using one for the GCC, what tenant you are using for the GCC, and another which you are using for the commercial, and you can use a self-configured approach, self-configured application approach, and you can connect to multiple tenant you on multiple tenants and connect to one single ServiceNow instance.
Okay,
yeah, but
so
I
we
think
wouldn't have to
this
make
is
any. Go ahead.
this is a little bit more complicated. So if I'm understanding correctly, you have a ServiceNow GCC instance, and you want to connect to GCC Teams tenant and a regular commercial tenant from Teams. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I've actually never heard this request before, and I honestly don't know, but I can taking a note here, and I can probably, I don't know, Jeff, how do we relay these questions that we need to figure out offline?
The chat and the Q&A will be recorded, but if there's something specific, I can either take a note or you can take a note and we can sync up on it after.
Okay, perfect.
Is it one of the questions that's in Q&A now? Sorry.
It started from Q&A, but we're discussing it now. I think the ask is, can we hook up a commercial tenant to a ServiceNow GCC instance? I don't know the answer, but generally, if we're not considering the government clouds, generally you can configure any number of tenants to a ServiceNow instance.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not familiar with the process really intimately on the regulated market side around GCC tenants, but I believe it's different. So yeah, we'll have to figure it out and revert. Was that Jonathan's question?
Yeah, and so it sounds like the question then is whether or not ServiceNow GCC can support M365 GCC plus commercial. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I know between
Okay.
ServiceNow and Microsoft GCC that's been tested and established, but if there's commercial application as well, to be integrated as well, or I should say commercial instance, that's where we would need to validate.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Other questions, folks? I know we had a request to show the request-based chat. I am struggling to find an open case for the users that I have set up on the fly here. We do have some recorded demos for this, so I'm going to make a note to share that. And if there's a request for more, I'm going to put my email in the chat. And if folks, if you have a specific question that you want to see us respond to, I'm just going to say Jeffrey.foss@servicenow.com, and we'll work with you to be able to share the functionality and show and demonstrate exactly what you like to see. Again, apologies. I've hit some issues on this one today, so sorry about that. Oh, it looks like my Excel even shut down, or my PowerPoint even shut down. So that might be all we can really show for now. Guess I'm glad I'm still on the Zoom. Let's see here. Are there other Q&A we can go through? Chat feed from an incident is integrated. Yeah, sorry, Ronald. We'll have to catch up on that one a separate time. Gen C, we've integrated Teams BA for our test instance. What are the steps we need to perform when we're ready to deploy it to prod? Just changing the endpoint address to production will work? Question mark.
Yeah, I'll answer this one. Excuse me. So and there's many different ways that you can go about this. And it depends if you have multiple tenants or a single tenant. So if you have multiple tenants, right, like a dev tenant, a test tenant, and a prod tenant, we sort of recommend just hook up each one of those tenants to the corresponding ServiceNow instance. And then once that connection is configured, then you don't need to touch it really ever again, unless there's like some cloning or something like along those lines. But if you have a single tenant, you can go through this self-configured bot approach where you would configure your own bot. And one of our recommendations is to have a different self-configured bot for each one of your ServiceNow environments. So on your team side, you would have your test bot, your QA bot, and then your prod bot all configured. And then, so that just establishes the communication. And then on the ServiceNow instance side, all of your VA topics, all of your notifications, everything will all be packaged in, the standard update set. And then you can move those along how, normal ServiceNow processes work. But if you back to your original question, if you had the single bot and you just change the endpoint, yeah, that should work. Or I'll have to think about that one. I don't know if all the users would need to be linked again or not, because they'll be coming from a different. I'll have to circle back on that one. But our recommendation is to kind of have these different bots set up and configured, and then once it's set up, then you really don't have to touch ever again.
Awesome. Adam, thank you so much. Folks, that we're at time for today. This was a tough one from a demo perspective. I'm sorry we couldn't do a little bit more. I'll share some recorded demos, and if you want to reach out for anything more specific, I'll do my best to accommodate some requests and do some more, either from myself personally or from some of our sales teams who do demos as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Thanks so much to our panelists for adding their expertise today. Thanks to everybody for joining. We'll try to catch you on. We'll catch you on the next one. Please join us again. Thanks so much, and bye for now.